What's good, y'all? How y'all doing?
I always want to say Wagwan after I hear that.
It's not the Fonde Pod anymore, bro.
I just want to say Wagwan after hearing Young
Nah,
D, man.
no more cultural appropriation.
Let me culturally appropriate at the beginning of every episode. None of us had a right.
This is what they come to see. That's what they come to see. Man, welcome in. How y'all doing? We got some big topics today, man. I'm sure y'all already aware. Both topics probably don't need any introduction, but we'll go ahead, start with some new music. We're going to get straight to it. I'm going to go ahead and start with one of my singles, which is YG, Out on Bail. A cool little track. I don't think it was this week, but I think he might have dropped it last week. But it was cool to hear from him because I don't really recall hearing from him in a while. I'm sure he has been dropping stuff here and there, but I haven't really remembered anything that he dropped. This one was cool. It's something that I've been big on, something I can add to my playlist and just play it in the gym, just ride to it, something like that. Just something simple, nothing crazy. I don't want to get too involved with the lyrics. I just want to hear the beat, hard beat, some flow that goes to it, and then ride with it. So not much on it, but that's YG on Out on Bail.
Cool. So I'll stick with the West Coast for my single, Reason, TDE artist with The Soul Part 2. If you all know Reason, he came out with an album not too long ago. He's been a very outspoken member of TDE and been collaborating with, what's it called? J. Cole. What's his label called? Dreamville. Yep. He's been collaborating with Dreamville for a long time, and he actually addressed all of that, saying like, "Yo, I'm still TDE." Everybody asking if I'm Dreamville now, and he really just started going crazy. If you know, before Kendrick drops a big project, he has a series called The Heart, and I think that The Heart Part 5 is the next one that's up. So with what Reason did, he started his series called The Soul. And now this is the second installation of The Soul. And he just went crazy on it. He threw some shots at Logic. I don't know what Logic did to get them shots thrown at him. He said people confuse my name with Logic, Logic Reason, kind of like playing off that. And he said one of them takes from the culture and one of them is the culture. Just saying that he's the culture and Logic is cultural appropriation. So that was kind of crazy. I didn't see that coming. But
that line was crazy.
Yeah.
That line was crazy.
I did not see that go, but I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Some Logic smoke is always welcome around these parts. But Reason, The Soul Part 2, bars, great song. If you know TDE, everything that they drop is quality, so this is nothing different.
Yeah, Logic always get the bad end of the deal, man. I don't know what it is.
Once he started doing the I'm black and then I'm white and then
that's just
crazy.
That's just I don't especially this year. I don't want to hear that. Especially this year, I don't want to hear that. But no, that song is crazy. It sound just like the Kendrick one, where it's like kind of like a cool, like slow beat, but then it flips somewhere in the middle of the song, and he just spaz out for the rest of the song. That's the same shit you won't get here on The Soul. So shout out to that. That was really good. I do got one more single, which is pretty cool. The only one. So Bryson Tiller dropped a deluxe out, and it was really. It's not really a deluxe. It's just Trap Soul again, kind of repackaged. But there was one song that kind of caught my eye, which was the Rambo. He put The Weeknd on it, and so I was interested to hear it because I heard Weeknd in a while since he dropped his album. So I was impressed. I was impressed with the Weeknd verse. Bryson Tiller added a new verse too, kind of the same flow, same stuff. But I like the Weeknd on it. I feel like he should have been on the original. Like it was really dope for him. So nothing much to this one as well. But that's Rambo. That's off the deluxe album of Trap Soul.
Deluxe album, bro.
Yeah,
I'm about tired of these damn deluxes, dog.
Yeah, I don't want the double seaweed. I'm sick of the double seaweed.
It's gonna cost a lot of bucks.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, bro. I'm sick of it, especially when you drop it like this because, well, I got mixed feelings, right? I like repackaged albums somewhat, especially if they weren't on. Like No Ceilings had dropped earlier this year. So Far Gone wasn't available, and that dropped maybe last year or the year before. So when it's not on streaming platforms, I can kind of see repackage a deluxe thing. I don't like what Lil Wayne did, and we'll talk about that shortly. But that type where you are this one where you just mix in a couple different verses or you add some songs to because then I got to download the whole album and then cross reference and see which ones are new and which ones are old. It's too much work, bro. It's too much work. If you want to drop that, just I don't even know if you can add it on, drop it in a little 6-pack. I don't know what you want to do, but do something else. These deluxe albums kind of trash. I don't like.
I feel you. I think we both got some deluxe albums when we're talking about albums, but the last single is Travis Scott featuring Young Thug and MIA with Franchise. I think the concept was cool. I think the beat is amazing, but that's almost any Travis Scott song. The beat is going to be crazy. I think the video was shot at Michael Jordan's house, and it kind of referenced the Last Dance footage of him driving the same car and everything. And then they went into Michael Jordan's house and just started going crazy. I think for the most part, I like Travis Scott part. I like Young Thug part. But MIA is like, I could have did without that. It's kind of like being different for the sake of being different. It didn't really add to the song, and it wasn't for me, that part. It's a good song. I think Travis Scott just been winning with the success of all his sneakers, with like the Jordan deal, for the success of, the Travis Scott meal at McDonald's, a major partnership that is almost unheard of, especially in the hip hop community, if you're not like an athlete. So for him to make these big moves, I gotta salute, the music that comes with it, because sometimes kind of like a Rihanna thing, and she gets so successful, then we don't hear any music. Travis Scott is still on that trajectory. He's being successful, branching out, doing all these different things, but he's still dropping music. So I definitely do appreciate it. Could have did without the MIA, but overall, pretty solid song.
Yeah, that just made it took it down a notch for me. I don't really get it. I like the being different, but it got to work, right? Like at some point, it just got to work. And everybody's been trying these things, these new, and the sound is a little bit different. And I understand, because somebody got to go do it to see if it works or not. But yeah, this one wasn't it for me.
Dang.
But something that I did actually like, Floor Seats by A$AP Ferg. You know what I'm gonna say with this one? 28-minute album, man. 28 minutes, bro. And some of the songs I already heard, so I was cool with that. So 28 minutes, only 10 songs. A$AP Ferg is really good about this. I don't think his last album was very long either. I don't know if I've seen the A$AP Ferg song that's been more than 10 to 15, maybe. So I was already on board. It's not going to take too much of my time. I was already going to listen to it. I already heard some of the songs and I knew I liked it. But nothing, again, he's not recreating the wheel here. He's not trying anything different here. It's A$AP Ferg, just packaged in 10 songs. It's nothing new. It's the hard beats. It's the flow of it, the dope flows that flow with the beats. It's some good features on there. Mulatto, she tore it up. Somebody named Antha. I don't know who that is. Female type, but they've tore it up. Nicki Minaj obviously was on the album. Lil Wayne was on the album. Tyga was on the album. So a lot of good features, a lot of good beats. I'm not sure who does his production, but they do a good job with making sure they kind of, if you would, make sure they fit him well. Like they really do. They make sure they fit A$AP Ferg well. You don't have to get too crazy with it, because they know he's not a crazy lyrical guy. He's just somebody to kind of get your head bobbing, and somebody that a crazy performer. We've seen him a couple times as well. So yeah, shout out to A$AP Ferg for this one. 4 Seats too.
Yeah, he the epitome of, I got the formula, and I'm sticking to the script.
Like, yep. And sometimes we call people like over that, but I don't think so. Like Young Jeezy's been sticking to the script this whole time.
Yep.
Moneybagg Yo, stick to the script. It's a lot of artists like that. Just stick to the script. I have my fan base. I'm established, and I'm gonna keep going with it. I rock out with that.
Facts. So I'm gonna switch lanes a little bit. I'm gonna go R&B and start our deluxe conversations. As I said, I'm not really a fan of deluxe. This is one of the deluxes where I was a fan of. So an artist by the name of Jessie Reyez, she dropped a deluxe version of her album called Before Love Came to Kill Us. And she dropped the actual album earlier this year. And I was tuned into her because she had a feature on the Division project when he was talking about sitting courtside. And I was like, bro, her voice is just very distinct. And I like it.
My favorite songs on that.
Oh, yeah. She was talking like big talk, like, no, bro, like I'm only sitting courtside. Like, don't play with me with that little voice stuff. So I liked the way she was talking. I liked her voice. And when her album dropped, I kind of slept on it, but it's just so much R&B this year. And I just feel like I didn't need it. And then when the deluxe came out, I was like, oh, I've been meaning to get back to that. And then the first song called No One's in a Room. I just like how she used her voice. I like how she used the beat. And then even just talking about, some really like deep questions, like who am I when nobody else is in a room? That's what I'm trying to figure out who I am, because my whole life is just everybody else judging me or holding me to a criteria when they themselves aren't living up to that criteria. So I'm a big fan of like deep messages or deep, conversations and comedy in movies and music, because, it's supposed to challenge us. And I think she did that with that first track. And then I was able to revisit some of the older tracks that she had, including the song Imported with Black. Super dope track.
Best one. Best
one. Dope. But a lot of good songs on here, a lot of good features on here. Just an overall great project. The deluxe, I'm sure the original was amazing, but I'm glad she dropped the deluxe so that I can tune into it. But Jessie Reyez, Before Love Came to Kill Us, solid project.
Yeah, I just actually ran through this morning a couple of times before we started our pod, and I really like it. I actually really enjoy it. The only criticism I got with her is that when she does get into that deep bag, that kind of, it sounds like something I've heard before.
Yeah.
Very, very familiar sound, like Jhené Aiko, Summer Walker almost, Kalani, if you would. But it's a lot like those, almost to a fault, though. And that's my only thing. When you get into the songs like Imported, where she seems like even at the end of the track, she's kind of laughing, like she just kind of have fun. There's a song Dope on there, which is kind of talking about just sex and shit like that. Just when she get into her bag like that, it sound more like her. When she got into the core side bag with Division, it sound more like her. Her sound, her voice is unique, but her sound is something that's recreated.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. Where, but it's amazing. You said what?
Yeah, still young, still got that.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Time to shake that off. Yeah,
it's amazing. I will get into a little bit of the Carter 5 Deluxe, just because I know I'm a big Wayne fan, so I had to go ahead and do the cross referencing and do the job or whatever like that. Some really good songs on there. I really like Scotty and Siri. Those two are the ones that kind of caught my eye. Siri is just bang, like it's just dope. Like I really like that song. Scotty, you get a lot more rapping in that. And if you even like some kind of goofy, just kind of follow along story, he's still a really good storyteller when he gets into that. And he had a song called F I'm Good, which is basically about him with a girl, and they go out or whatever like that. And he basically he bagging her the whole time. And on the chorus is kind of her on the phone with her friends, and she's like, I don't know what should we do, and then the other friend like bump her off the phone like, you need to fuck him good, like, so it's kind of like, it's just kind of cool. And then at the end he fuck her. It just get funnier and funnier at that point. So I actually like that song as well. But that's off the Carter 5 Deluxe from Lil Wayne, the GOAT. Let's get it.
This is what I'll say, bro. This is the third deluxe of the Carter 5, bro.
Yeah,
he should have just dropped it as a new album.
He should have just dropped all those songs as a new album.
It's 35 songs on there. Yeah, bro.
He dropped a lot of music, dog. Like this year, it should have all just been a new packaged into a new deal.
It got me thinking, like maybe like his deal with Baby or whatever to get like his ownership is like he still owes them albums.
Something is going on, yeah.
But he got the Carter 5. So he just want to put as much music and make all his sales with the Carter 5 before he make another project. But
he been busy though on business. He been busy. Respect, that Young Money Radio, I think he took it down in respect to everything that's been going on the last, which we'll talk about later because that's what y'all want, but y'all don't really want that. So he took that down, which was a success. I thought it was a huge success. I thought just hearing him, because you never really, Lil Wayne don't like do interviews, he don't like do nothing. I want to get on Lil Wayne tangent, but so to hear him on a radio, like kind of interviewing people and stuff like that, it was just crazy, the back and forth, and the people that the connection was amazing. But so he has been busy. So he's still been teasing No Ceilings. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's good music. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating. It's just, bro, just package it as a new project.
Yeah,
bro. Like
it would save us all the trouble. It would save us all the trouble. I actually went to his like when you go to iTunes and you click on Lil Wayne, it's like a bunch of EPs on there I'd never even seen before with a bunch of different songs too.
What I think that's a new thing where they've been splitting up old albums into EPs and like sections of like he had a No Ceilings EP and it's just a condensed version of No Ceilings. A lot of artists have been going up and splitting their albums into little EPs because I think the demand or the word is out. We want little bite-sized portions instead of a huge album.
They know this.
Changing the game.
I'm not saying who am I did it, but who am I did it.
Score one up for us. I was about to say some bullshit.
Oh shit!
All right, so my last album before we talk into the main one is Spilligion from Spillage Village, JID and Earth Gang. So I originally thought that JID and Earth Gang was Spillage Village, like that was the total of it, but I guess it's a few other members, including Black, and they just went crazy with this project. Now it's a little different. Like if you ever heard of or if you ever listened to Earth Gang, you know that they're a little bit out there, but that's kind of my bag. Like I like different. I like something that's going to push the envelope, something I'm not used to hearing, because when I hear something like that, I'm more drawn into it because I want to. It's kind of like watching a movie. You get drawn into this fantasy world and you want to see what all is about. And with this project, they talking about different things as far as religion, talking about their beliefs. It even start off with a skit with Country Wayne talking about, the pastor out here playing Tonk in the hood and he owned people money and everything, but he rolling around in the Bentley. So just starting with that and then talking about being baptized, talking about different things that we pray for, talking about love in the hood, talking about so many different other subjects. And then just, again, a different sound. Dreamville is up there when I talk about TDE as far as a camp, always producing quality. If you listen to Ari Lennox, you listen to JID, you listen to Earth Gang, they're going to drop some amazing projects. And for them to all come together under the Spillage Village mantra and put together a project like this is super, super dope. So again, it's a little bit out there, a little bit different, but a great project from top to bottom. A lot of great features from Lucky Day, your boy Chance the Rapper, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. Earth Gang, of course, JID. I told you Country Wayne was on there for the skit. Ant Clemens was on there, but a lot of good songs on there. A great project. Spillage Village, Spilligion. Good project right there.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. The production is amazing.
Oh yeah,
the production is A1 on that one. So that's really what kept drawing me in. Like I was listening to the song, and some of the lyrics aren't really for me, but they all great rappers, right? They all can rap. The people that were singing on there, they could all sing. Obviously, with Lucky Day and Black, you can't really miss with those two. So
Black was going too, bro.
Black been, yeah, that's a whole nother stuff. I just like on Shorty album that we just talked about, how he's just at the beginning, he's like, my name is Black, but a lot of times people call me 6 Black. And I'm just like, I'm glad he finally said it. I'm glad he finally said it. But yeah, my biggest actually point from this is that I'm shocked that, I guess not shocked because they're all super talented, but they did this without J. Cole, which was a big deal, right? They did it without the Kingpin. And they made it really great. So that I'm hyped for this, and I'm hoping that we see a lot more. And by I'm hoping I see a lot more. TDE, I'm ready for it.
Facts.
I'm ready for it, TDE.
Yeah, because they taking the ball now.
Whenever your ball's in your court, whenever y'all ready, bro, this will go with y'all. So yeah, just whenever y'all ready.
The lane is open.
The lane is definitely open.
The lane is open, bro.
All right, well, we're gonna get to the one. This was the best drop of the week to me, musically. We're gonna talk about just the music We're gonna go just to the music starting first, and we'll get into the shenanigans. But Daystar by Tory Lanez, y'all know we had to talk about it. Well, obviously we got a topic after, so hold all your everybody's raging that's listening that's about to comment saying we not protecting Black women or some other crazy shit that y'all got going on. Just hold it till next time. We'll get it. This is some of Tory Lanez's best work. It might be his best project to date. It might be his best as put together between R&B and hip hop that he put together today. If you're talking about R&B, that's not right. But considering his rap albums combined, and when he combined the rap and the R&B, I think this might be one of his best albums. He had it, to me, at elite level penmanship, right? Like on here, my sister said it best, and I think it might be right. I think he does work better either A, under pressure, or B, with emotions. Because he had a lot of both of those on this album, and he delivered something that I thought was great. Like, I don't know where it's actually going to land, but it's going to be hard for me personally, especially being a Tory Lanez fan. And we'll talk about, I've said what I said about him before, and we'll talk about that. But being a Tory Lanez fan of his music, it might land at a top 10 like hip hop albums for me this year. because it's really good. There's a lot of good rapping in here when he going through and telling you a story, and you so tuned into it that you might not catch how savvy he is with the pen game. But it's just he rhymed for about, I want to say, about 2 minutes on Bittersweet with just like move, like everything was move or smooth or views or this and that, and it just kept going and kept going. I'm just like, damn, it's just like I was just like, damn, like I thought that the highlight would easily be Sorry But I Had To, which is everybody I'm sure is going after, which is kind of like the diss track with all the names. But on Bittersweet, he's just explaining how he feels about everything that's been going on and his friends that have turned on him without even trying to hear his side of it. So he gets on Kehlani, and in the middle of Kehlani, he's like, hey, JoJo, you take notes too. Like, y'all, and he starts spazzing out on them, dog. Like, not really disrespecting them, but just telling about, like, that's up for debate, but just like, not really like, when I say not disrespect, I'm like, not calling him like bitch or ugly or the pussy whack or something stupid like that. He just dissecting the fakeness of what they've been doing and how they've been moving. And he like, well, if y'all moving like that, I understand, but let's do this with some rules. Like, and let me tell you, and then JoJo, you take notes too. Like, and they just keep going and going and going. And that may sound petty to you as far as like lyricism go, but for Tory Lanez, I've been waiting for something like this. There's a lot of good songs. If you really peep though, the chance bar turned into 3 gospel songs. And I don't know if that's I don't really know if that's by design, but if it is, the disrespect is so savvy, dog. Like, the disrespect. And if you really peep the Queen and Slim, you would know that sound a lot like Chance the Rapper's Lost. Lost. Yep. So that sound a lot like Chance. So I don't know if he was like, I'll let you go because I don't want to go on a tangent about this because we got to talk about this probably for the next 20 minutes. But that I think this is Tory Lanez's best product that he's put together musically. My standout as far as right now is actually still an R&B song, which is Solar Drive at Night. I think that song is great. It's a lot of good vocals in that song.
Yeah, so strictly from a music standpoint, I would have to agree this is Tory Lanez's best project. I think my biggest critique of Tory Lanez is just he has nothing to talk about. Like, he's so all over the place that he is just mimicking other people's styles. And while that shows his talent level, which is amazing, it just doesn't solidify who he is as an artist. I had that same critique of Meek. Like, when Meek came out, like, once he moved away from the streets, it's like he really didn't have anything to talk about, and he got lost in his Rollies and his Phantoms and his cars, and it really wasn't compelling. After you go through something like with Meek, he had to go to jail, unfortunately. He had to do all that. Then it became about social justice reform. He came back with Championships, and that was one of his best projects because he had something to talk about. Same thing with like a Kendrick, where after talking about or once he'll talk about Black people, then he'll talk about his family lineage, then he'll talk about like growing up in the hood. But having something to talk about will really dictate your level of work. And I think for a long time, Tory just had a chip on the shoulder trying to prove that he could rap or prove that he can make a good song. Now that he was able to focus on a specific topic, whether that be I Still Love Meg or whether that be everybody that was talking crazy to me, y'all need to watch your mouth, whether that be, hey, we need to do better as Black men, we need to do better as the Black community.
Last 3 was great. Those last 3 about Black community was great.
Like, he had a specific message that brought his talent level, and it just brought it up to highlight it and put it on display. Now you got a message with it. This is your full potential. I think that in his earlier Breakfast Club interviews, he was talking about how his name was biblical and how he wanted to find success first, but he wanted to eventually go into more of a biblical type of rap style where he can actually not preach, but say these type of things that he, like you were saying, like those last couple songs where he was kind of telling people how to get back into God and how we need to start, fighting the devil, so to speak, not necessarily in a biblical sense, but like how the devil kind of works in our world to kind of tear us apart and kind of bring us down, and the things that we see as Black people in this country. And I think he did that, which kind of fall in line with he wanted to name that album in which he was doing that Daystar after his name. So I think that's kind of like I don't know, it's like what's it called? A self-fulfilling prophecy, because he did say he wanted his last album to be called that. And to kind of see where the circumstances are, I felt like this was like this was like that Hail Mary pass in the fourth quarter, you down, but you gotta throw it to the end zone. Like, this is what this album felt like. This is all or nothing. And his back was against the wall, and he pulled out every, like, I could have went without the Queen of Slim, like the singing part, because it was so much like Chance the Rapper.
The back half of it.
Yeah, once he switched it up and started talking that talk and actually started breaking down the situation, I was like, yo.
The back half of it was
this is it. I can't even say I don't like that song.
Yeah. The back half of it had you feeling like you were seeing exactly what his side of the story was. Like, you was exactly that night, like you was understanding. Then he had the record. I don't know if it's actual recording, but the in between it had like some girl, I don't know if it's Meg Thee Stallion or not, but some girl tripping out, and it was all kind of just like, damn.
He was really kind of like what you were saying with Wayne, like him telling that story. You can kind of see him going from the hook to that. Like, he literally painted that pic, and that's the sign of a true artist, like a great artist, to really paint that picture for you to see it. So I do think that this is some of his, if not his best work, but I do got my critiques, and that kind of isn't in line with the music itself. And the music itself, I really do respect it. As a project, he showed that he still has a top tier level talent, but with some of the shenanigans, that's where my critiques come in.
Yeah, so let's get straight to it. So for anybody that is confused at this point, you must have been living on the rock. But Tory Lanez, basically, this whole album is him kind of telling his side of the story. We've heard Meg's story on Instagram Live, and for the last 2 months, we've been hearing it. We've been hearing different pieces from different people, but it has been very one-sided. And we got a pot on this as well. And we talked about it a bit from the information that we know now. To me, this is more information. This is another side of the story. It's another piece of the puzzle. And I have to consider it. So if that's disrespectful by anybody, if you offended by that, I apologize. But I feel like you got to consider that when somebody's being accused of something. You gotta take both sides and then try to understand and put together your thoughts, right? So for me, I think this album did what it was supposed to do. It made me question it, right? It made me question what really happened. That's all. I'm not saying that it didn't. I'm not saying either one of them is lying, but it brought up some questions. It painted a picture that seemed a lot clearer than the picture that Meg created. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. Obviously, Tory Lanez had a lot more to say on it. Meg Thee Stallion was just alive, so it was kind of short. It wasn't, she just basically just said, "Hey, Tory shot me." The best friend was dissing Tory. The producer been dissing Tory for forever. We don't, since basically the day it happened. So we just kind of pieced those together, and then we understood what happened. Tory Lanez dissected every point of view that you can actually take on this, right? From the lines like, "Hey, how can you identify me if you was shot from behind?" Like, "Hey, we know you was drunk as hell. You was on that 1942. We was at Kylie house. You was mad. I was in the pool. Jealousy. It was a lot, right? A lot happened. A lot. It seemed to me happened. It was a lot more messier and cut and dry than, hey, Tory was drunk off his ass and he shot me because I wanted to leave. Like, yeah, maybe, but Tory Lanez side, yeah, maybe. Like that. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So that's where I'm at with the story. I'm gonna get into some more of the shenanigans too. But as far as the album and kind of moving away from it, from the first part of our debate, I should say, I feel it did its job, right? It put his foot back in the door like, hey, I didn't do this. And it was believable. It was very believable. It was something that he put a lot of thought and time into this to actually make everybody understand what he was trying to say. It wasn't just a couple songs where it's just some bullshit going on. It was 3-4 minute long verses about telling the story. And he did it very well. I mean, as far as the artists go, he did it very well. There was some shit there I could have did without. But I'm sure you're gonna get into it and we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about it from a strategic level, this is his only move. And surprisingly, this wasn't even a move that I saw. Like, how can you respond in the times that we're in now, in the whole protect Black women, believe women movement? How can you respond to an allegation of you physically harming somebody to the point where they're accusing you of shooting them. You can't really attack their character because then they'll flip it on you and be like, see, I knew it. You the type of person that would get angry and you probably did that. You can't straight up deny the whole event because obviously something happened, but you can't say too much because it's an open case. So all of that, so all of that he had to navigate. So it was like, but if you don't say nothing at all, then the narrative is going to be spun about you. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. Sometimes the accusation alone, or once people get a thought in their minds, they're not able to change it. So some people are just stuck on, she said you shot her, you shot her. No, nothing you can say will change my mind. Some people are like that. So for him to say, I have something to say back, I got to defend myself, it was already set up for him to fail. And I think that he literally hopped, skipped, and jumped through all those obstacles as perfect as you can. Like from a strategic level, that was as good of a comeback as you can make it under his circumstances that somebody can make. Like literally, even to the point where like, yo, I still love you. You know what I mean? Like you can't. It was perfect. Like I want you back. No matter what you say, I want you back. I want you as a friend. I want you to come back. I still love you. Like I'm hurt by this.
Drake level scheming.
How do you make it so that you the victim?
Drake level scheming, dog.
How did he become the victim?
Dog, tilting to a high state. I mean, I'm tilting, bro. I'm tilting. Like,
but he makes compelling arguments.
Very compelling.
Like how you get shot in the foot ain't hit no tendons,
or bones.
Tendons. How can you saying that you run away and you get shot, but you can still identify the shooter? You know, why were you still in the car? If I shot you, why would you hop back in the car? You know, like it's so many questions, so many different things that could be, and just saying like, we know what happened, but you know, I can't say it. Mm-hmm. So you got to spin it like this. And then he called out everybody from JoJo, Lonnie, the Chance the Rapper, the Maul from the Joe Budden podcast, to Rock Nation Management. He called out Bun B. And
it was classy. He navigated that well.
With all due respect,
he navigated that the best way. That was the best one, probably.
Like all of that, and
that one blew my mind.
It was
J.R. Smith
one. I can't believe J.R. Smith killed him.
Yeah.
And then to say I would have never thought I would see the day where black people are calling for me to get arrested. From a chest standpoint,
this isn't for that whole little. I don't know. Remember what song that was, but the whole first 30 seconds or minute to that song was hard as fuck. Like his flow on it, like that, like that whole that shit was crazy.
Yeah. Was crazy. The hardest song on there is The Most High.
Yeah.
That's the hardest song. The one where he dissed Maud, I'm like, like Maud, my guy. Like he had a very strong take about like Tory Lanez being the most sucker, the lowest of the lowest, like the most sucker of them all. And he just caught a straight on the most fire song on there. Like this is just a mean song. Like from a strategy, it's literally the perfect strategy. The only strategy he could have employed without just completely self-destructing. And I think he raised a lot of valid arguments that it make you think. Now it's tough to take that in because you have to be objective. And we're not saying that he's telling the truth, but at the same time, it's three sides to every story. You got Meg's side, you got Tory's side, and then you got the truth. So Meg is going to say it her way. Tory is going to say it his way. So we're not saying that either one is right because at the end of the day, nobody was there. You know what I mean? That's going to speak on it without a slant. So we got to be able to take in both sides, as tough as it may seem, to say, hey, maybe we don't have all the information. Maybe there's another way of looking at it. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. And he kind of gave you that reasonable doubt. Hey, maybe we need to wait until this all gets figured out.
I think my biggest thing in my next thing I want to kind of talk about is the celebrities, the shots that he did send, why he sent them, and then kind of reaction to them. You can't throw stones when you're in a glass house, bro. One of the biggest things that he said to me was basically, hey, show me a history of domestic violence. Show me that. Show me where my history of domestic violence is. Like, where it's at. Every woman, ask any woman I've been, where it's at. Like, that was, a small part. It was a small bar that he had in one of these songs. I can't remember which one it was, but it said it a lot to me, right? Because domestic violence is a thing that we've seen a lot of the time. If you do it, there's a history of it, or there's something in your background,
right.
something that you learned that from somewhere, right? Because we not taught that. We don't just hit women, right?
Right.
So a history of it would speak out to a lot to me, right? Right. If he had a history of beating women or degrading them or anything like that. And I'm sure anybody in hip hop could say, like, he talked about the slurs, anything like that. You can take anything from hip hop and try to paint that picture then.
Right.
And that's my thing. You got to keep the same energy. Y'all mad at him for dropping an album in the wake of Breonna Taylor's thing. Why don't we get to it? Why don't we talk about everybody that's been making money since Breonna Taylor's been? No one stopped making money, bro. No one has stopped what they're doing for this. I'm sorry. I apologize. Maybe we should. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not. But don't just criticize Tory because you don't like him. And if you don't like him, just say that. If you believe Meg, just say that. Just say. Don't try to use other things like, it's Breonna Taylor. It's a bad timing. You can't just do this right now. Okay, well, A$AP Ferg dropped the album. Where y'all? Where the criticism of that? YG dropped something. Where the criticism of that? We watched on tape. And I don't mean to be a snitch, but we watched on tape the baby smack the fuck out of a woman. Where was the criticism there? That's all I'm saying. Like, keep the same energy. Y'all pick and choose very, very delicately. Like y'all. I don't know why. I have no idea. But if it's an injustice, then call it out. If it's an injustice, call it out. Because what happens is when you do this, it makes your argument weaker. Because every time you don't keep the same energy when something is an injustice, it makes it seem like it's cool. It's cool for some people to do, but other people's is not for, because I don't really care for them. That's whack. I talked about that last time we talked about that. If it's domestic violence, this is the energy I'm coming at you with. I don't condone it. I don't care if you my best friend. I don't care if you my father, my brother, my uncle, my cousin. I don't condone it. I don't care if he's my favorite artist, my favorite actor, my favorite athlete. I don't condone it. So if all I'm saying is keep the same energy. If you mad at him for something, you mad at him for Beyonce's thing. Okay, well, I want you to ask your best friend to stop posting her weaves and eyelashes. I want you to ask the McDonald's working down the street to stop working too. I want you to ask everything that's going on, every organization that's making money, everybody that's making music. I want you to ask every single person. I want you to go to Breakfast Club, ask Charlamagne to stop working because he has something to say about him dropping the album too. Okay, all y'all stop doing that then. That's all I got. You got to have that same energy for everybody. You can't just say, okay, Tory Lanez, you can't do it. Why? Okay, Kevin, you can't make a podcast. Why? I makes sense. Make it make sense to me. That's all I'm saying. Just keep the same energy. You throwing these stones, all these artists. I'm not gonna get, because I already said the baby name, and I don't want to get disrespectful. There was a lot of men saying a lot of things about Tory Lanez, about how wacky he was, that have a clear past of domestic violence. Mm-hmm. How ironic. The utter audacity. Like, I just don't understand that. I don't understand the concept of that. How can you tell me about something that I'm accused of when you clearly did it? You've clearly been proven to have done it. So where are we at with this? Why are you even talking to me? Is your argument, oh, well, you shot her? No, I didn't. My case still open. That's why he came at Bun B Net. My case still open. I'm innocent until proven guilty. I didn't do anything. That's what I'm here to say. You've been proven guilty. Let's look at you. I texted this in the chat. I said people want to have the ability to judge you and yours, but they don't want you to take a look at what's going on beside what they got going on. They just want to be able to go online and type and say, oh, look at this motherfucker, he doing this. Oh, this motherfucker, he here and he there. All that shit to me is whack. And I'm sorry, I know I'm on a tangent a little bit, so I'm gonna let you go here in just a second. But all that shit to me is whack. And the biggest example of this, of hypocrisy to me, is Rick Ross in this, and when he made his statements. And the reason why it's so it's such a bunch of hypocrisies, hypocritical, is because I'm sick of people that's supposed to be our OGs acting fucking whack. I'm sick of y'all clout chasing. Y'all so mad about clout chasing and people that run to the internet, but y'all be the first motherfuckers that do it. Every time I got on T.I. about this, I'm going to get on Rick Ross too. You knew that video was going to go viral. So you put all your tags, all your businesses on that motherfucker and then try to tell him about some making money with Breonna Taylor involved. You don't care about Breonna Taylor, bro. Stop it. Stop it. You know why you did that. Stop it. You supposed to be an OG, bro. Do it the right way. That's all I'm at. This is why we led astray all the time. All these OGs doing fuck shit. It's ridiculous, bro. Like you would be that hypocritical to tell somebody about how to make money or when to make money or what time to make money while you steady trying to make money. You clowning, bro. You lost a lot of respect for that. That's all I gotta say, bro. You to me at least, you lost a lot of respect for that. You could have easily handled this. You could have easily handled this. You could have found his number. You could have sent out some type of a better tweet. You could have hit him in a DM, something, bro. If you wanted to voice that opinion, you really wanted to come across as genuine, you wouldn't have took to Instagram. You wouldn't have. That's not the move. Because you hate it, right? You hate when young dudes do it. You hate with the clout chase and everything. Well, then stop doing it. Stop doing it. Be the example. Because that's whack to me. Every video you posted, you had several different brands and things like this was a motherfucking swipe up ad. That's whack, bro. That's whack. I'm sorry, I ran, but
talk and talk, bro. That was goddamn. That's probably the best part of the episode right there.
No, my fault, bro.
Tuned in.
My fault.
I agree 100%. I really can't add anything else. It's more like when he get quote unquote canceled, when he say I put Molly on her champagne, she didn't even know it. I take her home and enjoyed that. She didn't even know it.
Really, Rick Ross?
What we talking about?
That's a real glass houses, bro. So
Yeah.
you be trying to throw rocks.
So, I got nothing more to say. You killed that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That because I just be seeing that shit, bro. That shit. The thing that makes me the maddest is the OGs, though, bro. Is the OGs in the game being so fucking whack, bro? Yeah, y'all. This
is the thing, bro, and we won't talk about this in the next topic, bro. We've never had a time where people had this much access to just talk. Mm-hmm. Like everybody can say whatever is on their mind at any given time, and the whole world is going to listen. And we've never had this. Well, it's starting to get normalized, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and social media has been around for a long time, but we've never been this politically active. We've never been this politically talkative, whereas though these conversations are really being had. And a lot of people don't know what's going on. A lot of people live in their own bubble. You know, like I remember when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump was going at it and Jeezy was going back. He had an interview with the Breakfast Club and he was like, yeah, man, we need to vote for Hillary because that might be, it's like getting Bill Clinton back in the White House. And you remember Bill Clinton, they used to call him the first black president. It's like, that was 4 years ago. And that was the level of political commentary that we had at the time. It was like, bro, Bill Clinton, like even LeBron called him like, yo, you still the first black president. Like that was our political awareness as far as celebrities and people like that just 4 years ago. A lot has changed in 4 years and we're starting to see everybody didn't change with the times. You know, the audience, I think the world is evolving as far as how we talk about these different things and how we want to be more informed and how we want to have these balanced perspectives. But we're starting to see that everybody doesn't have that. And just because somebody has a platform, because somebody has an audience doesn't really mean that they can check those boxes and talk about everything. So I think you hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah. There's two ways to handle this. And this is for anybody, but celebrities especially. One way, 50 Cent said in an interview a long time ago on Breakfast Club, and he was referring to Lil Wayne and Baby. And basically what he was saying is the reason why he didn't have much to say on their topic because it wasn't finished yet. And there was a lot going on. He said he didn't want to get involved, but he said he took it to a place and he said, it's like when you're, it's like if your mom and your best friend, if your best friend and his mom had a disagreement. And your best friend came to live with you for a little bit. And you said, hey, your mom's a bitch. She's this and that. She's that and this. They're going to eventually get back together. And when they do, now you can't come over there no more because you said some disrespectful shit about my mom. That's how y'all look. Right? That's how y'all look. The second way, another OG that said a bunch of stupid shit. If Boosie ain't saying shit, if Boosie get asked and say no comment, bro, ain't nobody should be talking because Boosie don't give a fuck. Boosie looked at that situation. He said, nope, I don't want no parts. I don't want no parts. I'm not taking a stance. I'm not doing anything. I'm not saying nothing. There's no comment over here. If Boosie say that out of all people, that should know you probably should stay in your lane for a little bit.
Facts.
That's all.
Yeah. In the great words of Jay-Z, what more can I say, bro? You kept that thing.
Man. Yeah, it's corny. It's a lot of corny shit going on. The rap game, like the biggest line there was that the what's going on with the rap game. This shit isn't for me, dog. Nah, and I see it more and more every day, bro. More and more every day.
That's why we so hooked on R&B, bro.
That's why it might be, bro.
That's all
that might just
the
be
real ones out here singing their heart out.
Black come through, dog. Oh God, bro. All right, well, shit. Yeah, let's get to the next topic. I'm gonna let you go ahead and explain this. I know you're gonna have some good stuff to say about it.
Cool. So one of the biggest, if not the biggest, development that's coming out in the past couple of weeks is another stage in the Breonna Taylor case. I believe last week the city actually settled a civil suit with Breonna Taylor's family to include $12 million, and they had about a dozen, I think even more, police reforms that they would administer to kind of prevent the situation from happening with Breonna Taylor. For those who don't know, Breonna Taylor was killed when a warrant was being served at her house. There was some gunfire. Breonna Taylor was in the house with her boyfriend. The boyfriend shot at the cops, actually shot the cop. And then in the midst of the gunfire, Breonna Taylor was shot anywhere from 5 to 6 times. That number has been conflicted with the recent developments, but she was actually the only one to die from that situation. And again, last week, the city actually settled with Breonna Taylor's family, giving her $12 million and then pledging to change their system as far as how warrants are being obtained, incentivizing police to actually serve and volunteer and live in the communities that they're actually going to be patrolling in. And after that settlement was announced, a lot of people had speculation it was some hush money, or that was a very large sum of money. So the city actually said, like, this is not an admission of guilt, but we do recognize that this was some things that went wrong, so we want to make sure that we can make some changes. After that, the mayor actually was declaring a state of emergency in anticipation of the district attorney announcing if criminal charges would be brought up on the 3 officers that were involved in the actual shooting of Breonna Taylor. So more recently, the district attorney actually came out and said that only one of the officers would be charged, but not in the actual murder or homicide of Breonna Taylor, but 3 counts of wanton endangerment, because 3 of his shots went into an adjacent apartment that housed, or I think it was 5 shots, went into an adjacent apartment that housed a pregnant woman, her child, and her husband. So the shots being fired put those individuals in danger, and that is actually what he was being charged with, not exactly the murder or the homicide of Breonna Taylor. So a lot of people thought that this was an injustice, started speaking out about it. A lot more protests, a lot more riots, a lot more damage is being done around the country, actually, because this is being seen as no justice for Breonna Taylor. And Breonna Taylor has become kind of the person to the forefront, because when the George Floyd situation happened, it seemed like everybody sprung into action. Like, if there was immediate action, there was immediate outcry, things were being done. But with Breonna Taylor, that's where the reemergence of Say Her Name came from, because it felt like she was just being pushed to the back burner and nothing was actually happening. So with that development, a lot of people are saying, who were calling for justice for Breonna Taylor, felt as though there is no justice for Breonna Taylor, because the only charges that were brought against the officer don't even have to deal with Breonna Taylor herself. So we wanted to kind of break down the different angles, because there have been a lot of responses, a lot of people chiming in, a lot of celebrity responses that actually has something to say about it too. But we just kind of want to break it down from our point of view as well.
Yeah. I'm torn up about it a little bit, man, but not in a way that you would think. So my feelings are, obviously, I feel for Breonna Taylor, obviously, long before this even happened. The family, everybody that's involved, $12 million ain't worth a life. So I don't, if they can get that $12 million back and get Breonna Taylor back, I'm sure they would. So that to me is trash. It happens a lot, right? It's not a mission of guilt. It's just kind of, sorry it happened, if you would. So my feelings on it is it is what it is. But as far as legally, unfortunately, you have explained this to me several times over on this podcast. There was a very small percentage of any of these cops actually going to jail for what they did. The reason being is because it's for them standard procedure, right? They had somebody. There was at the time no-knock warrants were fine, right? You can no-knock warrant. You could run somebody's house. You don't have to announce yourself. You could just run at anybody's house, right? As long as you had a warrant for it. They got fired at. One of the officers was struck, and at that point they were good to go. They good to fire. They were able to let off everything they had if they needed to. So I'm not saying that's right. Honestly, I think to me it's obvious that that's wrong. But they are protected by certain laws, and those are the things that we need to look at. I think qualified immunity to me should be the big goal. We did get a win with the no-knock warrants being illegal now, so you can't do that anymore in Louisville. But I think the bigger picture is for America is to rewrite a law that's been written, hasn't been looked at since 1967. I mean, qualified immunity was 1960s. Like, it's a lot of laws that we got like that, but this one is still taking a big picture into today. Like, if you really read up on it, and I won't go into it because it gets extremely complicated, but the basis of qualified immunity is you really can't get arrested or charged for anything that you do as long as it doesn't violate anybody's human rights. But it has to be clearly stated. So whether that be in a previous court case, whether that be in a previous written law or something like that, it has to be at that time. It has to be something that was written. So if the no-knock warrants were illegal at the time and they broke into the house, well, then obviously all three of them could get acquitted for that because it was against the law. But since that law wasn't in there's no similar cases like that you can actually go back to. There's almost no way you're arresting any of them. So we can look at A, qualified immunity, and B, we got to look at the standard procedures. Like what are the standard procedures? I know for a fact for me, when I looked at the case, the biggest thing that I had was the first report that they wrote. I felt like it was a lot of misinformation on there. There was no mention of Kenneth Walker, who actually one that actually shot and struck somebody. It said that the victim, Breonna Taylor, had no injuries. It said that they had no forced entry, meaning somebody let them in. There was a lot of things on that first report that don't make sense to me. Somebody should be held liable for that. You can't write faulty reports. That's falsifying documents. Like, those type of things is what we got to look at to say, like, how did this happen? We talked about last time, like, who wrote the warrant? Like, what was on the warrant? What about the judge? What about? It's a lot of people that we got to come at, but unfortunately, they were never going to get arrested. It wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to get arrested for killing Breonna Taylor. If that's the justice you were looking for, then I'm sorry to inform you that's never going to come. It never was going to come. It's sad to say, but that's kind of the truth of the matter at this point.
Yeah, and I'll say this because it's a lot of things we need to be clear about what happened with Breonna Taylor. And I think with the press conference that the Attorney General gave, he laid out all of the facts that he had and all of the facts that he presented to the grand jury. So I might get long-winded on this one, so forgive me in advance. But one, the Attorney General didn't determine that those were the charges that will be filed. It was not him that said, we are only going to file this. The Attorney General presented all of the facts to a grand jury. Now, grand jury is just like a trial jury, is a group of people, typically between 16 and 23 people, that hear the evidence and determine if there's going to be probable cause to actually bring forth a charge. So for people demonizing and calling out this Attorney General, calling him a coon, calling him a sellout, and saying all skin folk ain't kinfolk, this person was just doing their job. All that he did was lay out the evidence and present it to a grand jury. So if you really got a problem with these charges, or if you feel like something wasn't being done, I don't find it acceptable just to demonize this one person when all they did was just lay out the evidence for somebody else to bring forth those charges. So I'm not with all that slander of the Attorney General because of his political affiliation, because he's married to a white woman, because you don't think that he's a real black man. That's childish, and that don't get us nowhere. That's just as racist as the people that you claim to be fighting against. That's not cool, bro. I'm not with that at all. So understand that the grand jury actually brought forth those charges. Second of all, we need to clear up some misconceptions from the beginning of this case when it first started and then what actually was found out. So a lot of the outrage is saying that, well, Breonna Taylor was shot while she was sleeping in her bed. Everybody can account to Breonna Taylor was in the hallway with Kenneth, with her boyfriend. Not saying that she deserved to be shot. I'm gonna preface all of this saying I think it's a tragedy. I've said this time and time again. This is a tragedy. She should not have been killed. This was just a a perfect storm of bad circumstances. It's terrible that this happened. So let me just get that right out there. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying all of that, but we need to understand what's going on before we start throwing stones and before we start critiquing people, because if we don't handle this right, we're going to do the same thing the next time this happens. And that is our problem. Every 4 years, every 3 years, every 2 years, a situation like this happens. We're being told a story. We respond emotionally and nothing gets changed because we don't understand what happened. Breonna Taylor was up. She was in the hallway when shots were fired. That's how she got shot, because she was in the line of fire once the shots started firing. I think it's Kenneth Walker, right? Mm-hmm. He had the right under the Castle Doctrine to shoot fire because he claimed that he didn't hear the cops announce themselves. So he had the right to defend himself and his property by shooting the cops. He was initially charged with attempted murder of a cop, but those charges were dropped because he had the right. He didn't know that there were cops coming into his house. So he was right in defending himself. The 3 cops that were charged or under suspicion of, arrested cops that killed Breonna Taylor, they had nothing to do with the warrant. They were just brought along as manpower to issue that warrant or to deliver that warrant. They were not involved in the process of obtaining that warrant. They were just people, hey, we're about to deliver a warrant, come down to the scene. They had no prior knowledge of that. So to say that this was some type of conspiracy and they're wanting to hunt her down and all of that, nah, bro. They were just people there at the scene. Now, the one officer that just started busting the gun, the one that actually got charged with wanton endangerment, he had a faulty record. This was an issue of a cop. He's been doing these type of things throughout his career. So like how we brought up with the George Floyd case, and when you were saying like we need to start looking at these cops' record and why they're at the scenes to do these things, that's a problem. If you look at his record, he should not have been in this type of situation because he has proven that he is reckless with the gun. And that's why he was fired, because it's standard procedure not to fire your weapon unless you have a line of sight with who you're shooting at. And he just was shooting through a window with curtains drawn. He didn't know what was in there. They didn't even know that Breonna Taylor wasn't in the house alone. So he was just busting through the window. And that's why he just started letting off clips and they actually went into an adjacent apartment. So that in itself, that's a problem. Breonna Taylor, they had that warrant for Breonna Taylor's house because they suspected that she was involved with her ex-boyfriend's operations. Not to say that she was, not to say that that's right, not to say that they weren't wrong, because they didn't find any drugs there. They thought that her house or her apartment was a distribution center based on the warrants and all the surveillance that they did, because he was getting packages delivered to her house, and she actually rented out a car to her ex-boyfriend, and then somebody got killed in that car, and she had to come in for questioning for that. So she was connected to him in a real way, but that's not to say that she deserved to be issued that warrant. But again, that is a separate investigation, which is my next point. This investigation or these charges were just from the district attorney to see if criminal charges need to be filed in the murder of Breonna Taylor. Once they looked at the statute and they said that her boyfriend had the right to fire his weapon at the cops, and the cops, once fired upon, had the right to return fire, the result is tragic. But you can't charge anybody with homicide or murder or manslaughter when both sides have the right to shoot their weapons at who they think is a perceived threat. They both thought that they were shooting at dangerous criminals. Kenneth Walker thought that he was shooting at criminals breaking into his house trying to kill him, so he had that right to shoot. The police, as they're entering their house, thought they were shooting at dangerous criminals trying to shoot the officers, so they had the right to shoot. That takes away any manslaughter or homicide or murder charges. As wrong as that may seem, that's just the letter of the law. It may not feel like justice, but to overcharge those cops, that wouldn't be justice either. There is a separate investigation still ongoing by the FBI to see that if they obtained that warrant in the wrong way, if they covered up details that shouldn't have been covered up, if the judge did not go through the proper protocol to issue that warrant because they saw that it was just copy and paste verbiage on all of the warrants, because I believe they served 5 that night. It was just copy and paste on all of the warrants. That's not how warrants are supposed to be. Each warrant, especially a no-knock warrant, is supposed to contain specific guidance and specific information about that house or that apartment that you're about to go into to justify why you would need a no-knock warrant as opposed to a knock and announce warrant. So there is a separate and still ongoing investigation to see if Breonna Taylor's civil rights were, if they were violated based on that procedure. And that is still an ongoing case. There is still hope that everybody involved in that whole process can be held accountable to say that there is no reason why a report said no injuries on a person that was shot 6 times. There is no reason why there should be a report that says, we no force entry, but you use a battering ram to knock the door off the hinges. There needs to be answers for why it took 20 minutes for somebody to go into the apartment and actually administer some type of life-saving aid to Breonna Taylor. All of that has to be accounted for, but that's going to be accounted for in a separate investigation. So again, I know that was long-winded, but we have to know our facts for situations as high profile as these, for situations that are so pivotal, and we can actually make change, and change is actually happening because of these situations. We have to know what's going on before we start talking crazy and before we start spreading misinformation, because that's what leads to rioting, that's what leads to looting, and that's what leads to destruction of our communities, and that gets us nowhere.
Yeah, I think just based off of everything that we've been saying on this podcast for many episodes now, we can't let emotions drive this. That's not what's going to get us where we need to go. Emotions are, we know how we feel about it. We obviously, me and King, we 2 black men, we got sisters, we got moms. We don't want to see no black women dead. Obviously, that's not what, that's, if you get that from anything that he said or I said, that's not where we're going with this. Where we're going with this is that there has to be some actual action happening. There has to be some type of substance behind what we're doing. We can't just take to the streets and yell and march and do things like that. We can't just have rallies and have somebody speak and give out misinformation. We can't have a bunch of celebrities giving out misinformation. If you're doing that, that's fine. Maybe that's your way of coping. That's your coping mechanism. But at the end of the day, you have to return to reality and say, okay, there's things that need to be done. There's work that needs to be done. We have to, I don't know if it's whether it's signing a petition, a real petition that actually has some type of value, whether it be hitting up some type of congressman, whatever you think that you can do, there's some actual like actions that need to happen on the back end of this. We can't just get caught up in protecting black women right now. Like, I understand that we need to be doing that 100% of the time. But to do that in this case, we have to take to the law. We gotta get to the law. We gotta get to the facts. We gotta get to the information and see if we can make some actual change within these police departments. That's what really needs to happen. If we want some change, we have to actually make it happen. But it's not by forcing their hand, thinking that we gonna march on the streets and do things like that. That's not forcing their hand at all. We have to get into these courthouses and make sure that these laws are looked at. Make sure these things are actually looked at and changed. That's how we do it. That's, to me at least. But who am I? I'm no lawyer. But to me, at least, we actually have to have some actual substance behind what we're doing. We can't just stumble in and stumble out of emotions and think that that's going to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm glad you said that because, and again, stop me if I get too long with it, because I'm really passionate about topics like these. But we need to have a shift of mentality in our culture to stop looking at these authority positions or these offices as if we can't sit in these positions. Instead of saying that we need to defund the police, we need to become the police. Instead of saying, yo, we got all these people policing our neighborhoods. No. We need to become the police in our neighborhoods. Oh, these racist judges that are just disproportionately sentencing black people. We need to become these judges that are sitting in on these crimes happening in our neighborhoods. Oh, these district attorneys don't know, they're not prosecuting everything. We need to become these district attorneys. The same way that we can infiltrate and we can get into the NBA and we can start making rap music and we have the same capabilities to get into these systems that are quote unquote systematically racist and change that system. We can be the cops that don't shoot into an apartment without knowing who's in there. We can be the judge who doesn't approve a no-knock warrant because they think somebody's involved in a drug ring because they got some packages, which actually happen to be shoes and clothes for an ex-boyfriend after they got out of jail. We need to be these people in the positions of power to stop this from happening. Because if we keep drawing that line of division between us, these things continue to happen. If we had black cops that grew up in that neighborhood knowing what needs to be prosecuted and they can not necessarily let slide, but how they can de-escalate situations to where people don't get shot, we won't have Jacob Blakes. We won't have George Floyd's. We won't have Breonna Taylor's, because we have people from our communities. When we get these judges, when we get district attorneys, we get politicians that know how to write laws that actually serve justice and interpret the Constitution that equally applies to everybody. No matter what your race is, white, black, Hispanic, whatever your race is, we need those laws to reflect our population. And we need to make sure that we don't have that ambiguity in the law to where when an injustice happens, we can't look to the law to actually defend us and we feel like we're not getting justice. We can have people get in those positions. It's not that hard, but we need to be in those positions. We need to stop looking at that as if that's the man, or that's for a white man, or that's the person who's holding No. We have to just meet the criteria, figure out what it takes to be a judge, figure out what it takes to be a police officer, figure out what it takes to be a legislative writer, and get in those positions. Because if you really about making a change in this community, going out and marching ain't going to do much. Going out and looting and rioting and destroying the community, that's not going to do nothing. But you actually applying yourself, you getting your degree, and you going to the academy, you becoming a police chief, and you saying, you know what, that's not happening in my city. We're not doing that to that neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood. We're not about to do that. That's what makes change. You know what? This law cannot be applied to the citizens. It's disproportionately affecting those black citizens, and our police are not being held accountable. That needs to be changed. That's how you make change. Becoming a judge to say, you know what, I'm going to apply the same standard to a 40-year-old black man, to a 40-year-old white man, for the 40-year-old woman, to a 40-year-old man. I'm going to hold that standard and make sure everybody's held accountable. That's how change happens. So we need to stop looking at, yo, you need to do this because I said, no. You need to do that. You need to step up. You need to use your voice. You need to use your power. And you actually have to get into the position where you can actually bring about change. Because I'm tired of people yelling for other people to do stuff. No, you do that.
Well said, bro. Well said. You got much to add, bro. You talking that talk right there.
But who am I? I barely graduated high school. I don't have a college degree yet, so I need to think about it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that don't mean it's not a good message. That don't mean it's not well said. That don't mean it's not a good message that people need to be hearing. So
yeah, just like Tory Lanez got his flaws, but when he talk about J.R. Smith missing shots being the reason that he ride the benches, the truth is the truth, bro. He said your shot percentage is the reason that you riding benches.
Bro. I actually thought Asian Dog got it the worst, but I don't really know who she is either, but
he said, I've never looked at Billboard to see your name and an insert song here to be applied to the top 200. No, when he came at JoJo and Kehlani, he said, I'm tired of y'all saying that y'all gonna take me off y'all songs, but then when I go to y'all Spotify playlist, the songs that I did with y'all are in your top 5.
The killed me, dog. You know you can. You know if you ask a question and at the end of it you gotta say, that's a good question, right? It's a solid question, dog. Like, yo, bro, why am I still on these albums that nobody cares about? I want to be clear. Like, I'm not defending Tory Lanez by any means. My stance is the same. If he did that, I think my stance is the same as the last time. There needs to be an investigation.
Right.
That's my say. It needs to be an investigation. Something happened in the car. Some shot. The producer came out. Misinformation again. There was no. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't say that the bullet that was in Megan's foot came from Tory. That's the type of shit that make me feel like you writing the story that you trying to write the story. You trying to write the narrative, bro. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. That's misinformation. That's not true. But yeah. No, they got it bad though. They got it bad on that one. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of diss tracks coming out. Asian Dog came out and actually said some shit that I thought was crazy. That I'm not going to send diss tracks to somebody who's going to be in a body bag. His days is number. I'm like, bro, y'all always trying to. This shit is ignorant, bro. You can't take a diss track. You got to go to. I think this person should be dead. You whack, bro. You immature. You childish. And you the reason why these fucking neighborhoods that we live in is the way they in because people like you. Childish as fuck. You want to go run to a gun and shoot somebody over just having a conversation or fighting. Not saying you should fight a man, but or fight, bro. Mm-hmm. Y'all being whack. Stop being childish, bro.
I ain't
Speaking
gonna
of
lie.
that,
If somebody
okay.
said, "Oh, my fault."
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If somebody said, "I don't know you," and stop the beat, that would hurt.
Oh, that one. Oh, dog. He said the hat is off, bro. Behind those tattoos, you're battered with scatter scars, bro. Like,
he was cutting deep, bro.
That's what I'm saying, bro. The pin level was at an elite, and he's done this before.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Jordan Lucas' neck. He was at what's his other dude? He was at his neck with the pin, dog. His pen is disgusting. We just never seen it on the album spaced out through the whole, like, you know, through the whole 17 songs, or whatever you want to say. We never seen it because he always go to the about to go stupid again, or he always go to those ones, right? He always go to those flows and those things that are recycled, but he never really get to the pen because he don't have nothing to talk about. He showed y'all the pen is an elite level, bro.
Facts.
The pen is really an elite level. It's a lot better than a lot of artists, bro. So who am I though?
Good talk. I'll find me to cut you off a transition.
No, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, speaking of actually not doing something or saying you're gonna do something, not do something, I'm giving my positivity shout out. Let's go ahead and get to it. G Herbo, man. G Herbo, he from Chicago. He bought his old elementary school right in his hood and turned it into a community center. And I'm not gonna speak much about this topic, but I am going to take this topic and try to use it for something. So this is what I'm talking about when I say actual action. Stop talking like you care about shit that you don't care about. Seriously, it's getting old. I'm with you. King's been telling me this a long time. For a lot of people that I like for just saying stuff, I got to get to the actual. What are you doing, right? And there are people that are actually doing stuff, and I'm not going to say that, but for all y'all that's actually saying that y'all want to do something, y'all posting, y'all putting a little picture up on Instagram, doing something like that, especially the people that have the means to do so. And those are the people I'm talking to, those celebrities that we talking about, those OGs that we talking about, those people that say that they care so much, that make songs about how they care so much, but not actually doing something. This is actual action, bro. This is how you do it. This needed to happen. Chicago, we got to do something, bro. Everybody that's from Chicago, all y'all artists that's from there, that's made y'all living there, that's made y'all living off of rapping about how it is being there. Why don't you do something to fix what that happened? It happened there, right? G Herbo said in a quote that this is for all of the people going on behind me. Like, I don't want the kids to have to live the same life in Chicago that I have to live. So I'm going to do something about it. It might not change a lot. It might change a lot. It might change a little. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take a step. I'm going to make something happen, bro. I got to do that. That's what we all need to be doing. All y'all people that's talking about what other people should be doing, y'all do it. Y'all have the means to do it. We make a lot of money. The Black community makes a lot of money. I know it seems to spread out because it's heavy at the top, but the Black community makes a lot of money, bro. And we make a lot of money for other people. Hold those people accountable too. Hold the regulators accountable. Hold anybody accountable that has a means to do something, bro. I'm sick of just hearing about it. I'm tired of hearing. We're done hearing about it, bro. Go in there and actually do something. So G Herbo, shout out to you, bro. Chicago really needed this, bro. We needed somebody to take his foot out of Chicago and actually make a change, bro. And you one of the people that I didn't suspect it, but I'm happy I've seen it. So my positive shout out goes to G Herbo.
Yeah, that was major, bro. Like you said, Chicago needs that. And so many people looking at Chicago is like, oh, man, black on black violence. Look at Chicago. We need to do that. No, he's somebody who's really from that. Somebody who really has respect in that neighborhood, trying to do something about it.
And it makes so much sense, bro. What's the easiest way to keep kids out of the street after school?
Give them something to do.
Give them something to do, bro. Give them something to do. Something that actually progresses their life, bro. Mm-hmm. Give them something to do. That's how you do it. That's how you stop gang violence. That's one of the ways.
Fact. So I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. I just want to say, in light of this being an election year, everybody being politically active, I just want to say positively shout out to Supreme Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Rest in peace to her. She just passed away not too long ago. And I won't get into all of her accolades, all of her things. There's a great documentary being done on it. It's actually being shown in theaters if you're not scared to go to theaters to get a coronavirus or whatever. But it came out in 2018 if you want to look that up. But just in the time where everybody is saying go vote, in the time where everybody wants to be politically active, in the time where everybody wants to speak on things and talk about the change that needs to be done, is very essential for us to look at how that happens or how that works. It's very essential to look at people who have done it, people who have fought for equal rights, for people who have fought for women's rights, for people who have went through the actual process of it, learn about how they did it, learn all the hurdles that they had to jump through to actually get the freedoms that we somehow take for granted to this day. So I just want to say rest in peace to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Definitely somebody that we should look up. Definitely somebody that we should look to see her example of how she got things done and what she cared about. And like I was saying before, once we start taking control, once we become those Supreme Court justices, once we become those district attorneys and those judges, look to her and look for other people that actually got something done to see how we can make change, meaningful change in our communities. So shout out to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, rest in peace. Ginsburg, rest in peace.
Much love, bro. Rest in peace, bro. For real. I do want to get into, since only because we talk about politics, the funniest thing I seen this week. I know I said I was gonna do this like every once in a while.
Oh shit.
Kamala Harris was asked. Hold on.
Don't get me started.
Kamala Harris was asked who's the top rapper alive. Notice what I said, the top rapper alive. Her response was Tupac. I can't make this shit up, bro. I heard it with my own 2 ears. I read it and then I said, "There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way, dog." I read it.
That's fake news. That's fake news.
Yeah, I said this is obviously fake news. There's no fucking way. That's when they hit me with the receipts and they had the video. Dog, Kamala Harris, best rapper alive, being Tupac, is fucking hilarious.
You know what's funny though? She probably realer than we think, because she probably really think that Tupac's still alive in Cuba somewhere. She's like, y'all got them fools.
No, bro.
From California, dog.
Tupac must be still alive, bro. That's the only real explanation.
That's the proof. Bro. That's the proof we needed, bro.
No, we gotta go find him, bro. We gotta go find Tupac, bro.
We need you, bro. Come back,
please, bro. Please, bro. Because if we need an OG at any point, bro, Tupac would be him, bro. That's the problem that we got. We ain't got Tupac in Cancun and shit chilling. Motherfucking in Cabo. No, that's the funniest thing I've seen, bro. That's by far the funniest thing I've seen.
Oh wait,
yeah. But
we appreciate y'all joining. The craziest thing ever. I got the box shirt on. I ain't even peep.
Yo, yeah.
His levels.
We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here.
Come back, bro. We need you, dog.
Please, bro. Please. And bring Nipsey with you, bro. Bring Nipsey with you. Good God.
Oh man.
We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all tuning in, man. It's the Who Am I Pod. Bruh.
Who am I? The girls them sugar